Florence One Schools has a comprehensive school security plan for the 22-23 school year. Florence One Schools Superintendent Richard O'Malley tells us more about the school security plans. What school security measures does the school district have in place for the 22-23 school year?
Well, I think we have probably pretty much everything in place that we've been doing over the past 4 years, and if you had the time, I'm going to go through the litany of things that kind of broke it down. So we conduct our monthly lockdown drills in every school every month. The state, along with its other minimum practices, only requires school districts to practice it twice a year. But we do it every month along with our monthly fire drills. So we have those routines built in, and we've been doing that for a good 4 years now that I've been here. So those drills are an important part because when there is an event, people need to know what to do, both students and staff along the way. We've met with each of the building administrators to kind of go over the entire security plan, what to do in an event of different emergencies. We've gone over their physical plant and what we need to do to secure it the best way, whether it be fencing or some other things to ensure that. But we also have gone through limiting access points into the schools, both for staff and students, so we can make sure we're secure in case an event occurs at any period of time during the course of the day. So we've really minimized that. We've minimized the amount of people coming into our schools, so they're not as open as they used to be prior to COVID, and make sure that the only entrance that people would come to would be the front door, whether it's our maintenance staff or a parent coming to pick up their child at school. All of our doors are locked during the course of the day, meaning the outside. We have various personnel at each school doing 3 exterior door checks at random parts of the school day, and also checking the parking lots and just being aware of our surroundings throughout. Also in our schools, our doors are locked when children are present in the classroom. So we're basically under a lockdown during the course of the school day whenever school is in session. And so that's been an important part. We've also installed metal detectors. Last year, at the end of the year, we added them to our middle school as well. So every high school or alternative school and every middle school has the latest metal detectors that allows multiple kids to walk through to check for that as well. And so we've had that in place for quite a while in our high schools and added that to our middle schools as well. All of our secondary schools, middle schools, and high schools have an SRO officer. And on top of that, we also employ campus security police that go about the school, both interior and exterior, just to check the school and be part of. We have QR codes, which is those little thing you could put a scanner up against, located throughout the facility, so we know where they are and that they've checked each area every single day, so we can monitor that as well. But they also each have the campus security, as well as the SROs have an iPad that sees all the cameras in the school, so no one's ever not looking at every aspect of the school. So I think that's another form of technology that we've added. As well as we have 2 supervisors from both the county and the city, and they help patrol those areas, fill in any gaps, but also go to our elementary schools as they're patrolling in Florence. We are meeting also with the Timmonsville Police, the Florence Police, and the county, just to kind of go over our protocols. Given what occurred in Texas, we want to make sure we're all on the same page, talking the same language. If an event occurs, who's responsible, what's the protocols, and what's going to happen. So we have those meetings just to, I mean, as I've said before, the law enforcement in this county has been fantastic and have been a great partner. But we kind of always just want to update every school year where we are and what those protocols are for the school and for law enforcement. As far as physical plan, I said one of the most important things we've been doing is removing mobiles. Those were one of the areas that we were most vulnerable in, so we will be down to less than 30 mobiles in the district We started at somewhere 170, so we're actually in a good place there. We've added phones to every classroom. We're one of the few school districts, I don't know, that haven't had phones in our classrooms to make contact with the main office or the outside world. So we've added those. We've replaced doors, and those aren't sort of sexy things that people get excited about, but replacing doors, having doors always lock and lock from the inside is a huge safety feature that we started 4 years ago and been doing that throughout the district. We have a Linksys notification system, which is technology where we can push out an alert to, our kids all have one-to-one computers, so it goes to each computer, it sends text, it sends voicemail, it can send emails, so we're able to communicate with our entire campuses, our entire community with a push of a button, so that system does that as well. We've added security cameras in every school and our athletic facilities. As I said the other evening, we have over 1,600 cameras in our district, 1,642 to be accurate, and so we have those as well as cameras on our school buses as well. As far as other technology that we have something called Gaggle, and Gaggle is sort of a technology that lies on top of our communication systems that has algorithms that take a look at messages, whether they're violence, or whether they're dealing with guns, or whether they're dealing with some sort of inappropriate conversations, that it gets flagged. And not only does it get flagged and the administrators know about it, there's also a live person from this company, Gaggle, that if it levels to a higher, that the students say maybe wanting to commit suicide, that's a direct notification and a phone call to the administrators in the district and notify law enforcement or parents to get to that. And that's 24 hours, 7 days a week, as well as something called Go Guardian, which also filters our content for those types of things. So we've got that extra layer on top of all of our communication systems that we have. And then, as I said, I think the best thing still is, regardless of all those things I just mentioned, is that if people see something, they need to tell someone. See something, say something. And so if you notice when you drop off your child that a back door is open, we need to know that. We need everyone to help us keep our schools safe. And a lot of these things that we have in place, I think, are very good, but there's nothing more than someone helping us with an extra pair of eyes or an extra some ideas to help make sure all of our campuses are secure.
You mentioned the campus security. Now, what's the difference between this campus security and an SRO?
So the SRO are law enforcement. They're employed by either the county sheriff, the Timmonsville Police Department, or the Florence Police Department. Campus security are we hire as a school district separate from the law enforcement. They don't have to have a license or a degree in law enforcement. They work for the district.
So they're like a security officer?
Correct.
Okay. And now in mid-July, the State Board of Education updated the state's model safe school checklist. Did that affect our school district in any way?
My opinion, this state has always done the bare minimum, whether it's minimally adequate for education or, like I said, for lockdown. So we've just been ahead of the curve all along here since I came here, and I think that checklist is a basic guideline. We're above basic. I think we've moved beyond the word basic and minimally adequate around here.
Now, with the school resource officers, what role do they play in school security?
Well, I think the first thing is to have a police officer that students and staff know on campus. That relationship with law enforcement is, priceless, if I can use that term. They really help coordinate sort of some of the security in the school by just having those conversations of I've seen something and they're saying something. So that relationship is important. Having an armed police officer at every school adds another layer of security as well. They know what's happening in the community. They know what's going on, and they can help ensure that that's not coming into our schools. And so that's an extra layer. And just having law enforcement on campus all the time, I think is another way of deterring some violent acts that may occur at schools. And so I think all three of those layers, relationships, the ability to have an armed officer at the school, as well as ensuring what's going on in the community isn't coming to our schools, is an important part of the SRO experience.
How will law enforcement and parents be notified if an incident occurred at a school here?
The same thing, we notify regardless of what may happen. We have many forms of communication, whether it be this Linksys system to putting it out on Facebook or direct emails to parents, text messages. We're able to notify people instantaneously if something's going on.
Now, at the school board meeting last week, you mentioned about getting more student involvement and community involvement, and in the say something. John, what can you go into a little bit more detail about the student involvement?
So one of the things that I've asked each of the building principals to do this year is to come up with a security team, people in their buildings from different departments, different areas, to talk monthly about what's going on. Do people feel safe? What can improve? The monthly lockdown drill, what did they see? So we just get a lot of information about our campus from the people who are working there. And at the high school level, we also want to involve students and have a separate safety meeting with just students, because they know a lot more and know some of the things going on than we do as adults. And so having that extra set of communication with students and involving them in the process, I think would not only help them feel safe, but also help us learn some things that we may not know that students know in our schools.
Now we're coming up on football season. What sort of security measures go into place for football games and at the stadiums?
The same procedures will be in place that we did last year. Anytime anyone enters, we have a clear bag policy. Everyone is wanded when they walk in. Instead of a metal detector, it's the wand. So we have those processes in place for each of our athletic events.
Now, do you have a message for parents of school children or members of the community about school safety that you'd like to pass along?
I think just going through and sharing with the community, as I did at the board meeting last week, that we have a lot of different things in place. I think we're ahead of the curve. The world is just a dangerous place, and I think whether it's a school, a movie theater, or a grocery store, these things are occurring far too often. But I think at the schools, we're preparing, we're putting things in place that if unfortunately an event occurred, we've got protocols and procedures to limit sort of the violence that may occur in our schools, both in school or protecting them from exterior threats that we may have.
SRO officers go through an annual active assailant training, which takes place, actually taking place right now. And through that course, we go through several scenarios, whether it's one-man entry or several-man entry to an active assailant situation at either a school or a workplace. Those scenarios can be quite long and very difficult to manage. So that's one way that we get prepared for an actual event. We also train with Florence County EMS and the Florence County Sheriff's Office, so that in the event there is something that occurs inside the city, we know that the county assets are also going to be on scene, so that will prepare us to communicate as effectively as possible. Well, the SRO inside the school has an advantage because they have communication with school counselors and school administration. And through the SRO program, we build a positive relationship with those children, with the students, depending on the age. So we're able to help identify anything that may be, whether it's harmful to themselves or harmful to others. It's identified early through the counseling process, and then the SRO can be involved in either a mentoring or also a counseling role. As far as our training goes, we have the basic training from the Criminal Justice Academy, and then you have our annual active assailant training. But we also do training as far as like tactical medical situations, Basically, the active assailant training is geared towards a mass shooting or a mass victim situation. So that's the main training.